What's up, everyone? This is WWE NXT superstar Dominic Dijakovic, and you are feasting your eyes on Going In Raw.
Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found, and of course, airing live. We film these live at the Twitch on twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Keith Lee announced at the start of this week's NXT that he is relinquishing the North American title to ensure others get opportunities in NXT. Larson, what do you think of the move? Who will be the new North American champion?
I'm kind of two minds about it. I don't like when people just willingly relinquish a title. You fought for that thing. You defended it. Ideally, you'd want to have that title just taken from you rather than give up. That being said, the rationale behind it fits in with Keith Lee's character. So while I'm not really cool on. I'm sorry, not that I'm not cool with it. It's not my ideal path. It's not what I would have done. It makes sense in terms of Keith Lee, his character in NXT. So it's like a larger picture, meh. But given the rationale behind it, it's all right.
And who do you think will be the new North American? Well, before we get into that, I'll give you my thoughts. I actually kind of agree with you on this. I really think so. So here's the thing. I'm also kind of two minds on it, but a little bit different. On one hand, I like his rationale behind it. I agree with you on that one. And on the other hand, I think that because takeovers specifically, I would love for this to have happened. He keeps the title, but he decides to defend it separately, like we've talked about before. Like they're two different divisions.
Yeah.
And they announce the same tournament, and that tournament will determine who gets to face Keith Lee for the North American title. The problem with that is takeovers are so few and far between. There's only 4 or 5 of them a year at this point. Usually like 5 a year. That you need to have these titles defended at takeover because it's takeover. And I think you would be disrespecting the idea of a takeover match if you expect a guy to do this isn't main roster wrestling where you can
Hold on.
What?
Do you forget that Adam Cole wrestled in 2 takeover matches?
He did the North American ladder match and a tag match in the same takeover?
The same night, yes.
Yeah, I know. That was a singular feat that should not be expected of on a regular basis for a normal guy.
Well, I understand, but twice in the span of how many years has NXT been around is not what I define as a regular basis.
Which is, you're right. No, you're right. Which is why I'm saying Keith Lee should not be expected to defend this title, both titles in separate matches at every takeover. That's a feat that even Keith Lee shouldn't have to handle. And that's why by default, I like the idea of relinquishing the North American Championship, even though I would have loved to have seen him defended in 2 divisions.
There's this. Let's say they're intent on getting Karrion Kross a belt at the next takeover. Having Keith Lee defend both those titles next takeover could potentially feed to that story. Like he's so amped on giving people opportunity that it's kind of leads to him losing one of his belts.
Yeah,
That's a potential story to explore.
That would kind of be the expectation, though. It's like, okay, if the NXT title is supposed to be the cream of the crop title, and the North American title is just one step below it, like you're still taking on like some amazing competitors in the North American scene. How is he supposed to go through that match, which is going to be like a 25-minute match, and then still be expected to even step his game up even more for the main event? It's kind of ridiculous. And I think, like I said, it kind of disrespects the idea of a takeover match, which is you give everything you have to the takeover match. You shouldn't have to give everything you have to 2 of them.
Tell it to Adam Cole.
No, I know. It was a marvelous feat. It was an amazing feat. But like he did it the one time and we were like, oh my God, that's amazing. But he shouldn't have to do that. Like, it's not realistic for anybody to do that twice. And at that point, you're just sort of booking Keith Lee ridiculously if he's having 2 like killer matches on a single takeover. So yeah, I like the idea of him keeping it and defending it separately. it's just not very realistic, and I really like that his rationale fits completely and totally into his character, and it just feels like that's who Keith Lee is. He is the most genuine superstar the WWE has, and he's absolutely terrific. Moving on from that, what's your prediction? Who's going to be the next North American champion? So far, we've got Bronson Reed moving ahead.
Yeah,
next week
from him.
Hell of a match. Next week we've got Finn, Thatcher, and who's the other guy? It's Finn, Timothy Thatcher, and
shoot, I wrote it down here. Hold on. Where is his promo?
Oh, Lumis, Dexter Lumis.
Lumis, yeah. They seem to really like Lumis. I don't see. I kind of wonder if since they're setting this up as Keith Lee's relinquishing the title to give people opportunity. If they're going to do it's a small sample size, obviously, because we've only seen one match, and Gargano, which was the more well-known name in that match, didn't win it. But if you follow through on that idea, if this is all about opportunity, this is essentially opportunity for guys maybe who have been largely outside the title picture thus far. So between Finn, Thatcher, and Lumis, if that holds true, then it won't be it won't be Finn. I guess I'd probably go with Dexter Lumis maybe out of that scenario. But they really seem to like Thatcher too, but I can't imagine him in a ladder match either.
So we're getting right. So we're getting Balor, Lumis, Thatch.
Yeah.
I suspect that the rivalry coming out of that is going to be Balor, Lumis, which would leave Thatch to take, or it's going to be Balor, Thatch. Look, one of these guys, either Lumis or Thatch, Balor's going to claim that they screwed him out of the North American title. And that's going to be one of those guys' next feud. I get the feeling that that's going to be Lumis versus Balor, because Balor likes to use all those wrestling insider terms. And I feel like Lumis is the one guy who you're not going to be, Thatch versus Balor would be kind of interesting, because Thatch is like the wrestling guy. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Reed and Lumis in the ladder match, which leaves the winner of, I guess we can assume it's going to be Priest, Grimes, and who's a third guy who can be in another one of these triple threat matches? Because it was 3 triple threats and then a triple threat ladder match, right? Isn't that the thing?
No, I don't. I don't know. They didn't say how many people were going to be in the ladder match. I don't believe, did they?
I don't. I just
a 3-person ladder match is kind of a small ladder match.
Isn't that how they did PWG wasn't a ladder match. It was but they would do like a triple threat at the end for what is it, Battle of the Bola stuff, I think.
Battle of LA.
5 people? Wait a second. They're saying it's going to be a 5-man. Everybody in chat saying it's going to be a 5-man.
That sounds right.
Match.
I had that thought in my head too. So other people that could be in it, you got Cameron Grimes.
They're going to do 5. They're going to do 5 triple threats.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we have Reed in it. Grimes, Priest. They seem a certainty. Let's say Lumis. There's only one more.
Okay, hold on a second. No, Priest and Grimes, they're going to be in the same triple threat. One of those guys is not moving on, because they got to tell a story.
Going to get that spot.
I just don't know. And on top of that, is Santos Escobar going to get in on this? Even though now they're setting up him and Swerve for the cruiserweight title. That sort of feels like a thing.
I mean, Ciampa's not doing anything.
If you do,
Killian, Dain, maybe.
Okay, let's say it's Priest, Grimes, and Killian, Dain. That could be a really fun match, because Grimes having to deal with both those guys. I could see. It's going to be Grimes. They seem to really like Cameron Grimes, and why wouldn't they? He's great.
Yeah, I would suspect Cameron Grimes is probably going to be the next North American.
It's just going to be the breakout tournament, guys.
I know, kind of.
Reed, Lumis. I don't know, man. My early pick for the North American champion, Cameron Grimes. He's literally the opposite. He's the opposite of Keith Lee, and that's kind of what you want here. You need a Weasley heel, but he's still protected. He's still booked really, really strong. Bronson Reed is too much like Keith Lee. Good guy, big guy, athletic guy, does cool stuff. It's just another Keith Lee.
Yeah. Yeah,
Lumis,
Cameron Grimes is kind of like the opposite.
Lumis it would be weird if he had a title at this point.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be Grimes. I think Priest is getting left behind. unless Grimes and Killian Dain end up in a program and Priest moves on. I could see either being Priest or Grimes as the new North American champion.
Priest beat Grimes their last match. So I don't know. I feel like it's going to be Grimes. Grimes is probably the guy who wins it.
I think that might be why they
unless they do a thing where he gets the huge spot. He hits that cave-in off the ladder or something. He gets the huge spot, but not the win.
He gets the huge spot, gets taken out during it. Yeah, that could be. Yeah.
Patrick Oliva says Kushida.
Man, they have not. Once they start doing something with Kushida, I will believe Kushida will be a part of it. He might be part, but also they could probably use him in the cruiserweight. He can have a really good thing with Santos Escobar. And Swerve.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude. My pick for next North American champion, Cameron Grimes. Who's your final pick? Same.
No, I already said Grimes too. Yeah, man.
All right, we got it solved. Good job. End of show. Anyway,
end of show. Bye, everybody.
Want to give a quick shout out. I don't know if we have any new patrons, but I wanted to mention that. We have Friendo Club TV. Today on Friendo Club TV, we're going to be playing Pin, Lose, or Draw. You can win a really bad sketch. Digital sketch. I'm not going to send you anything. You just screen cap it if you want. And there's some really great competition. Alex C. has talked about retiring from Pin, Lose, or Draw, Larson. What do you think about that? Should he retire? Should he relinquish his Pin, Lose, or Draw championship?
I mean, I appreciate that he wants to give other people opportunity, but at the same time, I feel like it's his right to defend his title until someone beats him.
You would think so. So that's a lot of fun. You can check that out live, participate, play along at Twitch. You throw us a sub at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson, at patreon.com/Steve and Larson, or of course at YouTube by becoming a channel member. Just click join at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Let's hop right into this, Larson. I got my Steve notes up. Do you have your Larson notes up?
Of course.
All right. The show kicked off with the William Regal Matt Chat question. The
lovely grandfather clock in the back of behind him.
Boy, he's just kicking back these days.
Yeah, man.
So anyways, he had an announcement about Keith Lee's Matt Chat question. Keith Lee has a Matt Chat question, but it's an announcement. He talks about, once again, he talks up his trainer, Killer Tim Brooks, talks about taking advantage of opportunity. He says, when the opportunity struck for me to get the North American title, I took it. When the opportunity struck to get the NXT title, I took it. And he said, I appreciate that people call me limitless, but I don't want to be limiting. And because of that, because I want others to have, he says, I want as many people as possible. Sorry, I'm relinquishing it, but with the caveat that I want as many people as possible to have a chance to win it. Hence, Regal comes back with his Matt Chat question, a tournament to decide who will win the North American Championship in a ladder match at TakeOver 30. And
so there's
the logo for that is absolutely terrible.
5 triple threat matches. Winner of those matches go on to this ladder match at TakeOver. I'm hoping it's like just an early render of it, because usually NXT is so good with their graphics. It's really just like the gradients look pretty basic.
So I didn't see
texture to it. Usually NXT graphics are so good with texture.
Yeah, I know, that's the thing. I honestly think
it looks very flat,
because they have it on WWE.com, and I saw it and I was like, this is awful. It looks like a really early render of it, with the understanding that, like you're saying, there's textures. I didn't catch the actual logo on TV. I'm sure it'll be more rendered by the time we get closer to it.
Yeah, I mean, they showed it briefly, and I don't recall in comparison with WWE.com, what it looked like. But knowing NXT generally how good they are with their graphic assets. I'd be shocked if that were the final product.
Yeah. So that should be a lot of fun. That TakeOver should be pretty good about a month from now. The first match we had on last night's NXT was Dexter Lumis versus Killian Dain. Of course, this was set up like last week. I think Killian Dain wasn't happy that Dexter Lumis drew a caricature of him. That motivated this match. I thought that Lumis showed off a lot of creativity in this match. and they booked him pretty strong. Killian Dain was trying to do his big, powerful guy thing, and at times it worked. But, there is that bit, like, for example, he tries to throw Lumis into the ring steps, and Lumis just sort of really smoothly dives over them.
Yeah, especially at the beginning, there was a lot of instances where Lumis was using his quickness advantage to evade. Yeah.
Is there anybody more funhouse than Killian Dain? The fun splash out of nowhere that he did on the outside, he does that. I love it so much.
So good. So good.
But anyways, we had Lumis deliver 2 side effects to Killian Dain. We had a Dain powerbomb that got 2. But in the end, up top, Lumis and Killian Dain are battling it out. Lumis sends him to the floor, hits a swanton. Another side effect, and he locks in his arm triangle or his vice or whatever. And Dain passes out.
Passes out, yeah.
Yeah. So whatever,
Clean
just a
win.
Showcase match there for Dexter Lumis.
Momentum heading into his match next week.
Lots of momentum. After that, we had a Roderick Strong interview. He says, it's kind of a new start. He says, I never got my rematch when I lost my North American title. He said, it's been a weird few weeks for the Undisputed Era. And then he gets interrupted by Bronson Reed. And he's like talking crap. He's like, what are you talking about opportunities? The Undisputed Era got all the opportunities around here. It's time for
a million chances, yeah.
Yeah.
This Lee gave the opportunity, or gave the title, create opportunity. He's going to show the world that he's a player. In steps John Gargano. Says, face of the brand walking through right here. And he goes up to Reed and says, you want to be a player, huh? This is my world. This whole thing ends with me becoming North American champion. Again, and making history. I did like the little back and forth between him and Roddy as Roddy stepped out, though. That was pretty
both
good.
looked like they wanted to laugh.
I know.
he was like, goof, I hate you too. That was funny. That was good.
It was good. Gargano walks off, and then Reed says, I'm going all out tonight. And that he did.
Yeah, boy, that match was something else. After that, we had a quick Dakota Kai Matt chat / video package talking about her shot at Io Shirai. There's so many. Everybody's doing match chat questions.
A lot of match chats, man.
There are. After that, I like this because they're giving Everrise some personality. So Everrise versus Breezango, who showed up as Mounties.
Yeah.
At one point early on, Martel, I didn't catch his. I'm assuming that's his last name. Do you know his first name?
Yeah. I don't remember his first name.
Okay.
It's Chase Parker and Eric Martel?
Eric Martel, okay. Yeah. So Martel starts chanting defense.
Matt Martel, sorry.
Matt Martel
starts
chanting defense.
That was great.
I thought that was pretty damn funny.
That was pretty great, and then he's a super kick. That was cool because Chase Parker kept on evading supermodel kicks from Breeze, and that was the defense.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Defense.
That was good stuff. I liked it. They were letting them show some personality. They were using their names. I think they might have turned some heads when they did that .com promo a couple of weeks ago off of 205, I think.
Yeah, I think they've been on 205 fairly regularly.
I think they have, yeah. At least that's what I've noticed in the Twitter feeds that I use to watch 205. I didn't know according to Morrow, they've been best friends since the 3rd grade.
Yeah. They're the longest continuous tag team they claim to be in professional wrestling, 15 years.
In the 3rd grade, you were still in Arizona, is that right?
Correct, yes.
Do you remember your best friend from the 3rd grade? Mm-hmm. Oh, what was his name?
His name was Justin.
Are you Facebook friends with him? Do you know where he is?
Nope.
Oh man, mine was Danny Leard. I still know. I keep tabs on Danny. We talk on Facebook every once in a while.
I don't go on Facebook, so that's probably part of it too.
That could be, yeah. Anyways, we got a Mountie dive from Fandango. Stereo super kicks. Breeze gets the pin on Parker. And then the commentary just starts making a bunch of really obvious bad.
Yeah, commentary was actually pretty funny because they were making each other laugh.
Yeah, they were just.
It was actually pretty good. I thought it was actually pretty charming.
Me too. Especially at the end after the match, Tom Phillips, who I don't know is he supposed to be heel commentator, because he was so upset that he was there are no Canadian destroyers in this match. There are no Canadian. There was another Canadian
backbreaker. Yeah, that was good.
Canadian backbreaker in this match. That was pretty funny.
That was pretty good.
After that, Dominic Dijak looked like he had some coffee this morning because he was pretty fired up for this match against Killian Kross. He's like, last week I was exhausted after that match with Keith Lee. This week I'm fresh. I've got a purpose.
Well, he said last week Kross suplexed me on the concrete. Yeah, he smashed my head against it.
That's right.
This week he's getting a fresh Dijak. Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna smash him with elbow, with knee.
Then it's gonna be an Arby's night.
Yeah.
After that, we had some Io Shirai tweets about Dakota Kai. And then we had Aliyah versus Shotzi Blackheart again. Shotzi trying to get her win back from Aliyah from that time she ran over Robert Stone's leg. Once again, she comes out in tank and tries to go after Robert Stone before the match.
It was good. He's still in a walking boot.
Yeah, he was killing me tonight, man.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Shotzi comes out strong. Stone tries to distract on the outside. Aliyah takes advantage. Aliyah's doing way too much preening during this match, though. Let's see here. But she does get some offense off. Shotzi comes back after a Northern Light suplex, gets 2 for Aliyah. A really good belly-to-back suplex. Aliyah tries to go for a pin with her legs up on the ropes, but the ref catches it. Shotzi has a huge step up enziguri. Stone then gets up on the apron, eats a big boot from Shotzi, starts selling his leg really bad because they're saying that he landed on his bad ankle. Shotzi gets a diving senton from top, gets a 3 for that, and then after the match, she runs over his other leg with her tank. That was awesome.
And then Martinez comes out and lays out Shotzi with a huge boot, like kicks her out of the tank.
Dude, they are so good these days at framing out these boots that are coming in. They did it with Io Shirai. Somebody was it on Raw? Who ate that big boot on Raw that came out of nowhere? Oh, on SmackDown. It was Hardy took one from Sheamus.
Yeah.
Those are great.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Truth took one from Shelton Benjamin. I love the big boot, the surprise big boot. So, Mercedes Martinez kicked the crap out of Shotzi Blackheart.
And then she walks off, and Robert Stone and Aliyah are like, well, okay, what does that mean?
Yeah.
To be continued later on.
How great was this Swerve little mini doc, man?
I thought it was really good, man.
Yeah, me too. It was all...
Dude just exudes confidence.
You know what, man? I like this so much because it's giving him like some backstory and some dimension and some complexity so that we're not going to get just another good guy, you know? He talks about...
Yeah. So the general idea is he feels like himself the loosest, most comfortable in one of 2 places. Recording studio, in the wrestling ring. He talks a lot about the similarities between being in rhythm, knowing when to hit the right notes, if you will. And if you don't do that, everything's got to fall apart. He talks about taking on Gargano at Great American Bash, taking him to limit, and says, now I know what it means to be champion. He says, I got a message for you, Santos Escobar. Next time we step in the ring, I'm walking out Cruiserweight champion.
That's going to be...
Because he said he's the only person, correct, to have beaten Escobar thus far.
The Cruiserweight tournament, he also talks about how he sang Billie Jean in high school.
Yep.
I was a huge Michael Jackson fan when I was a little kid. And I actually auditioned for a talent show.
Really?
Doing Billie Jean.
Singing or dancing?
Both.
How'd that go?
I was like 6.
Yeah.
I think I was 6.
Yeah.
And I came home and I told my mom that I think I got in because the teachers were both smiling. I think they were laughing at my little fat ass trying to do Michael Jackson moves. Oh, man. I do have videotape somewhere of me doing that. That we'll never see. Maybe at like 2,000 subs.
All right. How many subs do we have to get to release the Charlotte interview?
That's we've actually shown that before to patrons. I mean, that could be like 1,500. Okay. I'm down to do that at 1,500. That's not a big deal.
Yeah, that's not a huge deal.
Michael Jackson, Steve doing Michael Jackson, that's 2,000.
All right.
It's horrible. But God bless my dad. He had that. It was not easy in 1986 to record video, right? It ain't like this anymore. He had what amounted to a heavy briefcase connected to a camera.
You're potentially
but
carrying
he
a
was-
VCR on your shoulder while holding a camera. Yeah.
He was filming relentlessly, and we would do magic tricks. We recreated the final scene, or the climactic scene to Empire Strikes Back, which
cool.
I'm looking for that because I want to animate those lightsabers. Mm-hmm. It was great. It was great.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. After that, we had the first triple threat match, getting that ladder match takeover.
Holy crap! This match,
A lot of great stuff. Gargano, John, Bronson Reed, and Roderick Strong. Just a lot of really good character work, especially between Gargano and Strong, and them trying to negotiate a partnership early in the match and just bickering with each other instead. The story of this was all about Bronson Reed using his size as a strength advantage to overcome the fact that for portion of the match, these two were trying to double team him.
Hey, for the life of me, for the last couple of weeks, I've been trying to listen because I forgot the name of it. When you have a guy's legs and you go back and they go slingshot. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, that bit, where Roderick Strong got slingshotted right into Bronson Reed's front area was great.
Oh, that was great. That was so great. Yeah, it started off with basically, I swear Roderick Strong and Johnny Gargano are just trying not to laugh when they're around each other now that Gargano gets to be a heel. Mm-hmm. So they start out doing basically a comedy act on the outside.
Oh, that was good.
Trying to, like you said, negotiate a partnership to team up on Reed. Doesn't work. Reed attacks, takes out Gargano, then Strong. But yeah, it's just all sorts of very creative stuff with two smaller, just excellent wrestlers. And then Reed, who's a really good wrestler on his own, just a huge guy who could do really, really cool stuff. I mean, there was that bit, again, framing out a surprise action. Gargano and Strong trading blows on the outside. Bronson Reed dives onto them both. That was great.
Yeah, that was great. They're getting really good at that. We got a lot of Roddy jumping knees.
Oh, I love that. We got Bronson Reed had both men on his shoulders at the same time, did a Samoan drop.
That was great.
That was awesome. That bit, the attempt at a Doomsday device.
Oh, to the Poison Rana.
To the Poison Rana. Unexpected. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And then, we had, Gargano trying to powerbomb Reed off the apron, and then Strong running in with a jumping knee, and Reed gets powerbombed off the apron. That was amazing.
Great. Yeah, you think he's out of the match there, but nope.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens. Where is it? So back in the ring, we get a 4 or 5 minute sequence of just Gargano and Strong, and there's no let up. It's just fast. So Strong tries for double underhook backbreaker. Gargano escapes that. Looks for Gargano escapes. Strong escapes that. Looks for a stronghold. Gargano escapes that though. Then lawn darts Roddy into the second turnbuckle. Goes for super kick. Misses. Strong hits him with the gut buster. Johnny responds with an enziguri. Then hits a slingshot DDT. And he has to kind of just roll over and drape his arm across Roddy for a cover. By this point, Bronson's up. He's on the top rope. Hits the splash on Roddy. Smushes Gargano's arm, so he has to pull back off the cover. He covers Roddy to get the win.
Killer finish. Killer.
Fantastic.
I gave this 4 3/4 stars. Man.
It was really fun.
Yeah. Just
the creativity behind it was fantastic.
Yeah. And then they followed that up with Oney Lorcan versus Thatcher. Didn't quite think this lived up to what we saw last week necessarily.
I didn't think so either.
Because it was just a different match. It was, obviously it's going to be wrestling heavy. That's what these guys do. But on my notes here, it just says wrestle on the outside. Lorcan sends Thatch into a pole. Lorcan targeting the left arm. Back in, Thatch gets a fish hook on Lorcan. We got some chops, half and half suplex on Thatch from Lorcan. Lorcan gets Thatch in an armbar. Thatcher brings him to the ground and pins his shoulders. Gets a handful of tights and sort of a sneaky win there.
Yeah,
feels like it should set it up for another match, but these are just 2 wins now.
Yeah, I know.
So why would it?
Before the ring post spot where Lorcan set Thatcher into the ring post on his left shoulder, Thatcher was having no problem with Oney Lorcan.
Should this have been the first match, and then the first match should have been the second match?
I kind of feel like it, yeah.
Because that was the first match was so decisive. He annihilated Oney Lorcan by the end there. Mm-hmm. There was really no reason for a rematch. But here we are.
I guess apart from Thatcher repeatedly making fun of Oney Lorcan in front of his students.
Mm-hmm, yeah. After that, we had Robert Stone Brand backstage. He's in hysterics because of his other leg. Mercedes Martinez enters frame, and she's like, listen, I don't want to do paperwork. I don't want to set up matches. I don't want to do any of that stuff. I want to focus on the one thing that I'm good at, hurting people. Mm-hmm. Will you be my manager?
Stone says, I'm your man.
Yeah.
I'm your man. Yeah, sure.
This is so sad. There are no other managers around to focus on the day-to-day paperwork, the business, the minutia, the details of being a wrestler in NXT. She has to resort to this clown.
Well, then she says, hey, I'm warning you, don't overstep your bounds or I'll permanently break both your legs. Mm-hmm. And he's like, all right, sure. Yeah, you got it. They shake hands. Mercedes Martinez is Robert Stone Brand now.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not going to last very long.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe they're trying to, I could see, to me, she has a Shayna vibe, a Shayna Baszler vibe, mm-hmm. I mean, there are similarities in appearance, there's similarities in attitude, there's similarities
in style, too. I mean, they're both hard-hitting, yeah.
For sure, yeah. Maybe they're trying to separate her from that and add some dimension via Robert Stone Brand. I'm not talking about comedy stuff, but and maybe that's adding some dimension to him. Let's see what he can do now. Maybe with a more serious client,
Yeah, he's still gonna be utterly hapless.
Maybe. I guess we'll see. After that, we had a Finn Balor promo in black and white. He's like, I don't need charity, but I'll take it. He's like, so this is talking about, of course, the North American title. He says, I'm not playing chess. I'll tell you what my next move is going to be.
I like this next bit. He talks about Lumis and Thatcher as opponents next week. He says, yeah, their opportunity sucks because they have to deal with me. Their push just hit the ceiling.
Yeah.
Takeover, the North American title gets what it needs. The Finn rub.
The Finn rub. He says, Meltzer says, I'm going over in this match. After that, we have our main event, Killian Kross versus David.
Right, so tell me,
Dominic Dijakovic.
Did Killian convince you?
Okay, so here are now my, I think, pretty solid thoughts on Killian Kross. He's not a good wrestler. That being said, NXT is able to use, he's probably a decent enough wrestler for main roster, for Raw, SmackDown. Decent enough. Probably Raw, to be honest with you. Because, SmackDown, you got guys like AJ, Matt Riddle, Dain O'Brien, Cesaro, Shinsuke. You got, really good wrestlers on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Raw, you got good wrestlers, but you don't have to be a good wrestler. He's not a takeover level guy. He's not, on his own. Dominic Dijakovic carried this match. He carried this match. And it wasn't even a really good match. It had to rely on some really excellent plot points, basically. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that was when it went to the outside, they did that terrific steel step spot where poor Dijak's head, Dijak had been handling Kross up till then. Mm-hmm. He put his head in the behind this, between the steel steps and the ring post.
Yeah.
Loaded up and kicked the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Dijak is dead at this point, and it's
basically. And
here's okay, I understand it's for the drama of the match, but I'm screaming at my TV, why is this match still happening? Yeah. Why is it? There's always that nebulous thing of you can send somebody into the ring post and it's not
referee's
a DQ.
Discretion. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. The discretion was obscene here because Dijak isn't moving. He is out, and the ref is concerned with the count. He's like, come on, get back in here. Get back in here. You're not going to get the count.
He briefly goes and checks on Dijak.
Briefly. And I guess, are we to assume that he said, yeah, I'm okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the ref gets back in. Kross gets a completely dead body of Dijak, muscles him back into the ring.
Yeah.
So Dijak is not on his own power at all. He does that. He mounts him. By the way, interesting fun fact about carrying Kross, which, by the way, I mean, he debuted in 2014, and I know wrestling wasn't his full-time gig until relatively recently, I think a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. He was trained by Disco Inferno, according to his Wikipedia page anyways. I just thought that was kind of interesting. So he mounts Dijak.
Ground and pound.
Ground and pound. Nasty, two forearms that are just vicious. Keith Lee comes out. At this point, I'm loving it because they have really turned Kross into a bastard, and that can go a long way. Yeah. You can go a long way with that. I guess he doesn't need to be Mr. Takeover if you book him in a story that's really emotional.
I wonder if this is part of the deal here, and this is speculation because I'm not that familiar with Karrion Kross's work in the ring. You know, I've seen all his NXT matches, a handful of things outside of that. But watching him so far, I wonder if Triple H gave him the same note he gave to Jackson Riker. You're a Terminator. You just keep coming. And so it's okay for him to be kind of one-dimensional if his MO is, yeah, you can knock me down for a little bit, but I'm going to get back up. Yeah, and I'm not in there to put on a 5-star match. I'm in there to beat you up.
And that can take you pretty far. I think that can be okay. I'm fine with that.
From the character perspective, I think he's pretty good.
The character stuff is great.
After he kicked the steps into Dijak, just the way he kind of got up and it was like, looked at the ref. He wasn't freaking out. It's like, I don't care if I lose this match or not. I kind of do what I want to do, really, just beat the hell out of this guy. Very calmly gets in the ring, kind of stands around a little bit, but with purpose, and then very calmly exits the ring to go and get him. All that just to break the count. Usually people just roll in and roll back out, but he got all the way in the ring for a couple seconds, got right back out. Just the way he carries himself is very imposing and believable.
The last couple weeks, and I know this is going back months, but especially when Keith Lee won the titles, won his NXT title, and you see on Twitter the pictures of Dijak coming out and hugging him. You see last week how Dijak got the first shot, and these guys are close. They have built that so perfectly for this finish. This had me emotional, dude. I'm telling you, Keith Lee comes down. I'm like, and I'm screaming. I'm like, oh man, thank God, finally somebody's gonna come here and check this asshole. He gets to ringside and he wants to pull a Taz and throw in the towel. And Dijak, who has a vulnerability about his face, he's got such a great face that has so much dimension to it and character to it. And he just sort of looks at Keith, and dude, it's Rocky IV. Yeah. It's right. It's Kross is Drago, Dijak is Creed, and Keith Lee is Rocky. And Dijak says, "No, this is on me. Don't stop the match." Yeah. And it's beautiful. It's such a beautiful movie because you see Keith Lee and all the emotion of, oh, I want to get in there and beat the crap out of this guy and save my best friend.
It was cool because Kross is hitting the ground and pound. Lee comes out. He grabs the top rope like he's going to get up on the apron. And I like this because Kross gets off Dijak and just looks at Keith Lee saying, your move. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Balls in your court.
And that's when Dijak's like, no, it's on me. No, don't get in the ring. And then Kross like, all right. And he pins Dijak's arms under his legs. So he can't put his hands up to defend himself. Just drops another huge forearm.
Yeah.
Again, Dijak saying, stay out of it. Kross looks at Lee and says, are you watching this? Are you watching? And then picks him up, puts him in a rear naked choke. Dijak passes out. Lee rolls in the ring and Kross backs off. Just calmly leaves the ring.
Yeah.
Staring at Lee as he backs up the ramp.
Which is so much more terrifying than any of the other big things they could do. So my analysis right now on Kross is he doesn't need to be a takeover level wrestler as long as they keep that mystique and that story going strong. And so I thought this was really good. Now, can you, after the Lee thing, now this is my speculation. Because you said, I wonder if Triple H gave him the Jackson Riker speech. I also wonder if bringing him in, they said, listen, we're going to start you off really, really strong. I think it'd be really dumb to put that title on him. I think it's probably going to be what you mentioned, that they're making him as strong as possible for a big time match against Keith Lee, probably the next takeover. That seems obvious. And Keith Lee will probably end up winning. And then they'll say, listen, we'll see where we go. Like, we're going to give you everything except the actual title. And we'll see what we can do with you after that. We'll see what the reaction's like. We'll see what the match is like. But
I'll throw this out here too. So let's say at the next takeover, he has his match against Keith Lee. I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't have the possibility of it happening. So the ladder match kicks off the show. We've seen Brock do this in Money in the Bank. Someone gets laid out. He just runs out the end, grabs the briefcase. What if Kross does something similar during this ladder match? It's like, here, I got this belt. I don't care. I'm about denying people opportunity, Karrion Kross is. I want everything for me.
Yeah.
So he goes and takes that, knowing full well he's got his NXT title match later on, which he can lose. Guess what? He still has a belt.
I think, didn't he say, like, there was some interview where he said he wanted both titles or something? I thought I saw that. That could be. I mean, he could be in one of these North American triple threats. They got, like,
or he just
going on.
Force his way into it, too.
Yeah. But yeah, I liked all the character work afterwards, man. I was hot. I was like, man, these people are pissing me off. I want to see him get his ass kicked. And that's what you want. That's like the good stuff right there. When you really want to see the bad guy get his ass kicked. So they're building up really well. And I get the feeling they're going to say, hey, we're going to take this and see what the reactions are like. We're going to see what the wrestling is like. But we're going to give you everything you need to launch properly here. And I think that's a pretty enticing offer for a guy like Karrion Kross. So I'm a yay on him because of how they're building him, not necessarily about the wrestling itself. If you can keep the stories good, then you can succeed. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I thought that was really strong.
Maybe Takeover he'll surprise us, man. They got time, at least assuming they can still do this, to work on their matches ahead of Takeover. You know?
It could be. I mean, like I said, it's not everybody has to be Mr. Takeover in terms of the 5-star classic.
And I think the when it gets down to it, the most important aspect is telling a good story in the ring, regardless if it's a bunch of high spots or crazy moves or crazy sequences. If the story is good, then it's going to connect.
Yeah. I gave this match in my Steve notes 3 3/4, and it was kind of like 2 stars for the wrestling and an extra star and a quarter for 3 1/4
for the story,
for that finish, for the story of the finish, especially Dijak's performance. The love really between these two men is so pure, Larson, and him saying no, don't do it was just,
my only is a minor quibble about the end. Is I kind of wish it was a bit more violent instead of just like 2 forearm shots just repeated.
Yeah,
just repeated.
I thought, to me, I see your point totally. For me personally, the steps to the head was all the violence I needed, and then the forearms were just like, because here's the thing about the forearms, they were laying in really thick.
Oh yeah,
like
they were
laying these in.
They look stiff.
Yeah,
but rather than 2 or 3 total, give me a 10.
You always want more violence. You've got this weird bloodlust, man. You've got this like really sort of undercover, like you don't seem like you'd be bloodlust because you're like, it's all on the inside.
Yeah.
Hey, can you plug out and plug back in? Yeah. I'm going to look up the question thread here on the Patreon. We got a bunch of questions on the Twitch as well. So let's take a look at this. By the way, also, hey, let us know what you guys think about this Killian Kross match in the comments below, and let us know.
Make your predictions for who's going to win that North American title.
I want to know what people think about that North American title, man. Who do you guys think is going to be? Be sure to leave that in the comments below.
Here in chat, White Brownie brings up exactly what I thought: the Brock Orton finish at SummerSlam without the concussion, something like that, where Brock was hovering over him and busting open. I don't need the blood, obviously not the concussion, but something like that where you're watching like, oh God, oh no.
You need him conscious enough to say, no, yeah, that's right. Don't stop this match.
Yeah. No, obviously.
It was so good. All right, publish. Let's see here.
Night by night, do you think Dexter Lumis likes breakfast cereals, or does he prefer a more hearty meal to start his day?
Dexter Lumis, what does he eat for breakfast?
Eggs.
He's like look at that dude's body. He's like a 9-egg guy, right?
Yeah, he eats a whole carton of eggs every morning.
Yeah. Tons of eggs. What do you think Bronson Reed has for breakfast? Eggs and sausage, right?
And like a ham steak.
Yeah, ham steak. 4-inch Fox. Good evening, Steve and Larson. How would you rank this current era of NXT compared to others? It's hard to match the depth of Aleister Black, Ricochet, Velveteen Dream, Ciampa Gargano, and then Cole's in there. Andrade. That class was something special, super special. But
still really good.
But given that you're going to have 5 triple threats with, 5, that's 15 dudes, and there aren't many weak links in that. This is a super deep class.
Yep. Dang MQ. So if Keith Lee is Rocky, does this make Mia Yim Adrian?
We'll see if she figures in. I hope not. I hope, because we sort of had that with Candice LeRae being Adrian. Didn't work.
Well, also, yeah, that's true.
Mr. Sinister says, with TakeOver Triple X, would you expect Vin Diesel to make a cameo? No. Although that logo does look like the Triple X logo.
It does. Zondo, when Kross was on Dijak on the ground, Dijak kept one shoulder off the mat so he wasn't getting pinned, as if it was on Instinct. That's a nice little detail.
I know. That was rad. I love that people think that stuff through, you know? Not like sometimes on main roster when they don't think things through. James Fletcher, what do you think of all the released WWE talent joining Impact? Who will do the best and who will struggle?
You got to think EC3 will probably do the best.
They've certainly positioned him in that, and he's positioned himself in that way.
Yeah.
I mean, the Good Brothers are probably going to do pretty good.
Yeah.
I wonder how Brian Myers is going to sort of separate himself from the pack. He only had a very brief video package where he was wearing. He kind of needs he needs to rebrand himself a little bit. He's been doing the blue and orange thing for a while.
Yeah, no. Wow. So Pippus has the ratings in. Huge win for AEW. 5th in the demo, 0.32. That's up. 845,000.
That's great.
NXT 35th in the demo, 0.17. 615,000.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Oof. Yeah. It is what it is.
Huge win for All Elite.
Scott Hill Jr., what do you guys think about having a blast from the past episode of NXT where we see main roster talent go up against current NXT talent using their old NXT gimmicks, such as Big E's 5 count, Rollins with the blonde hair streak thing, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's a great idea. I think that it's too goofy for what they do, but I think it's a great idea. By the way,
it'd be perfect for like a Halloween themed episode or something like that.
This is a temporary thing. I know NXT is the black and gold brand. I put green on our thing because I used gold yesterday for AEW, and this is for Shotzi's hair. It's so bright green.
I know.
It's a wonderful color of green.
Fear and Loathing. Did you guys see the Twitter exchange between Robert Stone and Edge? Yes, it was pretty funny.
I did not see that. I'll have to check that out. War Machine. I know a lot of people are going to be asking, because we mentioned this like in the pre-show banter. People are going to be asking us about Adam Cole and Pat McAfee. We're going to talk about that on a news brief today.
Yeah.
I love when Adam Cole gets to drop some pre-NXT era F-bombs.
Alex C says, this happens with Kross everywhere. He debuts to hype, then people get bored of him so fast.
Is that a fair knock? I don't think that's a fair knock. I mean, the only other place I've seen, he was in Lucha Underground, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, did people get bored of him there? Is that is that a legit premise right there? Because in Impact, I don't think anybody got bored of him. I think that he got tired of
Impact. He wasn't used very much, right?
He wasn't used very much, yeah.
Whose heavy was he? He was heavy.
He was with Moose and
was he with Austin Aries?
Yeah, I think he was with Austin Aries. I think they were a thing. I think.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a tough question. Fear and Loathing. If you worked at a store and masks are required for entry, what would you do if Timothy Thatcher walked in and said he wasn't wearing any damn masks? Hope that there's security on premises and they can take care of it.
Right. Oh, that was Alex C that said that?
About Kross, yeah.
He said no, it was pure baseless slander on my part.
Well, thanks for the clarification, Alex.
Idiot. Oh, man. How is he our pin loser draw champion? Hopefully somebody dethrones him today. That's such a weird thing for him to say.
I know. Patrick Oliva says Mercedes should have gone with Bivens Enterprises.
I was thinking the same thing. Man, they're not going to... Is he buried because one of them dudes got on Instagram Live and spoiled Keith Lee's title win?
Maybe.
Jason the Cabbie.
Wow.
Long-time friend. I haven't heard that name in a while. Alex C says, Steve calls me an idiot with increasing frequency. The more times I call you an idiot, the more... we literally call Gypsy an idiot all the time. It means the more I like you. Jason the Cabbie says, so we all know that shows aren't the same without crowds, but recently, well, the Big Show was on Field of Power, and he said that the one benefit he saw from the current era is that performers everywhere will have to learn to be less dependent on crowd reactions and learn how to tell a story rather than play for a pop. Hey, Larry, what is it with all these old timers coming out and telling all these young kids how to how to do their jobs? Jason the Cabbie says, you boys think this is a fair shout or a show just talking bollocks?
No, I think there's a lot to be gleaned from wrestling in front of no fans or few fans. And I think that's one of them is you got to concentrate and tell them the story in the ring and not worry about doing something strictly to create a reaction from the crowd. Because if you're telling the story right, you're going to get a reaction.
Yeah. I think these old guys just like telling the young people what to do, man. We're headed there, too. We're headed. You people on YouTube.
White Brian 92 says NXT is slowly creating factions.
I know. I love it. I love factions. More factions. Colin Branch asks, would Santos Escobar and LDF be a good feud for a tweener face Andrade? Maybe he loses Zelina and Garza to LDF as well. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. Mm-hmm. That could be interesting. I just want to see. I want to see LDF stay in NXT for a while.
Yeah. Gareth Nicholas. Now that Mercedes has confirmed Robert Stone brand, Shotzi is totally going to get that win, right? I don't think it's a guarantee.
Against who? Mercedes Martinez?
Yeah.
They'll probably trade some. But they seem to really like Shotzi.
They do. She's really good.
She's really good.
She's really good.
Yeah.
Fear and Loathe and the Ultimate NWO version of somebody is Timothy Thatcher being the NWO version of Eli Drake.
So, I mean, here's the thing about Mercedes Martinez. She's just making her re-debut in NXT, and she's 39 years old. They might use her as a really, really strongly booked enhancement talent. I say that with like the most reverence because I really like her. I think she's great.
Like the Cassius Ohno of the women's division. Yes,
I could see that being the case. You give her really strong wins against like mid-card opponents, but people you really want to elevate like Shotzi, Shotzi would get the win there. That's just speculation.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah. Let's see here. Wolfpack for life. How long till Keith Lee could realistically be on an NXT Mount Rushmore? Wait till he goes to main roster, and then you can start making that judgment. But he's making a really good case at this point.
Yeah. Griffin of Might. I'm not alone in thinking Timothy Thatcher's theme sounds like Dan Severn's old WB theme. Am I?
Oh, I didn't even notice. I don't even know what his theme sounds like.
Same here. I don't know what it sounds like at all.
Although these days when I hear Bailey's theme, I always just hear The Rock's theme. Let's see here. Adrian C. I know they're trying to build up Dexter Lumis, but I really feel like Killian Dain deserved to win that match last night. I don't know, man. I think Killian Dain, he's one of those really strongly booked enhancement talents.
Yeah, it kind of seems like it.
Yeah.
Sammy Brooks, dream match, a current NXT faction versus any other faction from any other era.
Current NXT faction.
Well, it's got to be Undisputed Era versus DX, yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one. Oh, you didn't know? Let's see here. Christopher Rappersod, if Adam Cole was double champion, would he have defended the two titles in two matches, and should the fifth man in the ladder match be a main roster guy like Kevin Owens? No, I'd keep it to NXT. They have enough people in NXT. I'd keep it to that.
They do.
As far as Adam Cole, if he was double champion,
I wouldn't be surprised if he were in that position. He would be pushing to wrestle two matches.
He in character, I don't think he would relinquish it. Although they seem to be okay, sort of like handing titles around amongst the Undisputed Era. He might relinquish it to Roderick Strong. I could see him doing that. Like as a wrestler behind the scenes, that dude totally would have been trying to put on 2 5-star matches in a single takeover. He would definitely be up for that. I think probably in character, he probably just would have given it to Roderick Strong.
Jonathan says, if I were wrestling in the current era, my goal would be to pop the guy who yelled eye for an eye at Dolphin Drew.
Yeah. Mike Demopoulos, am I reading too much into this, or is Robert Stone a parody of Tony Khan?
I've heard that before.
I've heard that before because there's a similar look there. I don't think it's that though. Tony Khan, Robert Stone looks like a guy. He looks like what was that thing called? Firefest.
Yeah.
He looks like what he's supposed to be is like an influencer manager. Tony Khan doesn't look like he's trying to look good or anything like that. Robert Stone looks like he's trying to be. He dresses and acts like what you'd think of as like an influencer guy. Mm-hmm. I don't see much between them. I think they would have made him an authority figure if they were trying to make him a Tony Khan guy.
Zondo, they say that if you brought a guy back from the past to the president, it would break their brain. If you had to show a wrestling thing to Bruno that would melt his brain, what would it be? It's Canadian Destroyer. Canadian Destroyer.
I think
or Poison Rana, one of those two.
Yeah, to Bruno just died like a couple of years ago. He was around to see a lot of stuff. Like maybe, and Luthez was doing power bombs. Like Canadian Destroyers are not that.
How much CZW do you think Bruno watched? Like if you show him that Zandig Joey Janela spot off the top of the building,
he's seen it.
Probably.
And he probably was just like, that's not wrestling. It's probably his reaction, to be honest with you. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if you were to show Orville Brown, the PWG thumbs up the butt spot and told him this is main event wrestling these days. This is like main popular wrestling these days, even though it's totally not. Like that might break his brain.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah.
That was a fun spot.
Yeah. Finally, Alex Foster here on the Patreon says, what do you guys think the reason is for Rick Booge to not be on TV? He's a great amateur wrestler and has all the charisma in the world. I don't know. I never know. You never know what's going on sort of behind the scenes, how he's progressing in the ring in terms of storytelling. I don't know. I mean, I know that he posted on Instagram that he pitched Triple H being lowered down to the ring upside down, shredding on a guitar like a bat or something. And Triple H said, I don't see it. And so then he posted a video on Instagram where he's hanging upside down, like from his weight set or something, shredding on the guitar. I don't know. He's got like tons of charisma, tons of camera charisma. Might just be a matter of, okay, how can we best use you? We don't know, so we're just not going to use you for now.
Maybe it's a situation where he has these very specific ideas of what he wants his character to be, and maybe Triple H just isn't into it.
That could be too. That could totally.
Or there's storytelling in the ring. There's wrestling for TV, making sure you're in position. Maybe working on footwork, all that kind of stuff. So
there's a lot that goes into it that I just don't know. You never know. It might be like that, which is a really boring answer. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
One last thing here on the Twitch. I see Beans from the East says they just announced officially SummerSlam won't be held in Boston, and another location will be announced soon. Larson, take one guess at what that other location is going to be.
Performance Center.
Hey, you got it right. That's it for the show. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Twitch chat, stay tuned because we are going to raid somebody. Thanks for watching. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.